Let's get more on the top tech story today. Groupon talking about an IPO that would value it at $25 billion. This is a Bloomberg exclusive story. That number coming from two bankers with direct knowledge of the matter. How real is that figure, though? Let's get some perspective from Kerner. He's social media analyst at Wedbush Securities. Is it worth $25 billion?
You know, it's worth to some degree what people are willing to pay for it. Right now, Margaret, the biggest problem that analysts like myself have who are trying to value Groupon is how big is the market? We know that Groupon is the dominant leader now, you know, definitely in excess of 50% of the market and probably closer to 60 to 70% of the market. But
of the coupon, online
of the
coupon
daily
market.
Deal market, right. But how big, I can take a look at Facebook and say, okay, what percentage of the advertising market are they going to get? And we know how big that market is. But nobody knows how big the daily deal market is.
No, and we also see some competition in there for a piece of the coupon space. Facebook, they have their Groupon service, competitor launching. You've got Living Social trying to raise about $400 million in funding. So how deep is the market? How much appeal is there?
Well, we're aware of, and we've tracked over 400 Groupon competitors. And it's not just Facebook. It's Google. Google's going to get into this in a big way. And Living Social is partnered with Amazon, and Amazon brings, massive amounts of resources. One deal with Amazon, and Living Social gained 10% market share of the daily deal market. And, some of the most interesting things from my view are in companies that are bringing real innovation to the marketplace, like Yipit. Yipit is actually a daily deal aggregator, so they're going out there trying to find the best deals out there among the 400 daily deal offerings and the best deals for you, given what you like, where you live, as opposed to the one teeth whitening deal that Groupon might give you today.
It seems like everything is about customization. That's the consumer trend, right? So
Undoubtedly.
Do you really need aggregators?
Well, to the deal that Groupon brings you thousands of deals a day.
Aren't retailers just going to directly interface with the consumer and bypass some of these guys?
Now, there you go. That's what Facebook is trying to do, is they're trying to give a platform directly to the retailers so the retailers can go directly to the consumers.
Right.
And that's going to be a big issue for Groupon. But what Groupon has done an amazingly good job at is, to the degree that this is a brand new marketplace, uncharted territory, it's a land grab. And Groupon has raised significant capital and run as fast as they can to grab as much land as possible.
I feel like every few weeks we have one of these stories, some insane number or arguably insane number, and a company that many people outside of the West Coast may not know too much about.
Yeah.
Is that partly because, Silicon Valley doesn't need Wall Street anymore, and therefore Wall Street just fundamentally doesn't understand what Silicon Valley's doing? No,
I think there are a few things going on, Mark. I mean, one, when you say insane values, it's insane because it's a big number. I personally, I don't use that word insane just because it's a big number. Just because it's a big number doesn't mean it's insane.
But it gets placement in the news cycle because it's a big number.
Undoubtedly. And because it's a big number, you hear largely what I hear about is it's a bubble. It has to be. If for a number to be this big, it has to be a bubble. And yet, when you look, again, just getting back to Facebook, because I think you can put clear numbers to that, I still see, even where Facebook is trading today, significant upside given the kind of ubiquity of the platform.
Now, why is it that you can put more clear numbers on it? Is that because you know the number of users and there's speculation as to that $2 billion revenue stream, or what?
Well, I know how big, the internet advertising market is going to be, is speculated to be about $120 billion in 2015. So I can say I think that Facebook will get 20% of that market, and I can start to get some figures around, and people can argue and say that's ridiculous, they only get 10, and that's fine, and then we can have a talk about the values. But how big is the daily deals market? Market? Right. Nobody knows.
Is it any more believable, or I don't know, maybe not believable, credible as a figure, that this number that Bloomberg's exclusively reporting, this $25 billion valuation, comes from two sources involved in a deal, bankers? This isn't a secondary market valuation.
Well, and again, this is another thing that I've been arguing for a long time, Margaret, is that the secondary markets, in fact, for a lot of reasons, I believe that they generally tend to significantly undervalue shares, not overvalue, because all of the sellers know they can sell, but none of the buyers know they can buy. The number of people who would want to buy shares in Facebook is 1,000x the number of people who even know that they can buy in it. So there's a massive dislocation between buyers and sellers. The Groupon shares are trading in the private marketplace today. Around $7-8 billion is the last transactions, that I've heard about. So the $25 billion mark value that you're hearing about, again, highlights the discount that these things tend to trade out in the private markets.
All right, Lou, thank you so much for coming on and giving us your read on this number.